So I'm gonna, I guess, complete the circle of this first flight by reading one of Catherine's poems. And this is called Easiness of Light, Difficulty of Heat. As we become older, we lose some of the bones we were born with. It is hard to remember being alive in our childhood. We smelled of vanilla, hot grass, clean bodies. We did not need pink ribbons to get the point across. Our faces were the 7 moons circling the cold planet of naivete. We were little girls kissing one another while our mothers folded linens. Don't tell anyone, the thing we whispered into flushed ears most often, buttoning our dresses, stuffing our undershirts with anxiousness, pressing a hand over our mouth as if surprised by the secrets we spoiled. Our green eyes pleaded for a hidden life. We sat on river docks, braiding the wet strands of each other's hair. No words for our sheepish hunger and unreasonable meanness. The heat made the air buzz and white. We dreamed of older boys dreaming of us. We knew God was watching everything we did, and he did not need to sleep. When I was 10, I drew pictures of angels, roses, and nooses in all my notebooks and hid them in a crawl space like a dead boy. The proud, tanned boys down the street touched themselves behind garden sheds, then cried beneath quilts, overwhelmed by the pleasure their bodies could be capable of. One afternoon, I heard a friend shouting for help outside my bedroom window. She had been mauled by the neighborhood Rottweiler. I ran to the closet. I put my hands over my eyes. It went on. I was a child, you must understand. Her face mapped by scars. I teased her with all the rest. Her brother held her calloused hand. I cut lines across my body to scar as well. The first thing people tell a little girl is that she just looks so pretty. I pushed a new doll in a blue pram. My aunt asked her name. I told her the doll was dead. I begged God to turn my flesh to bone as I pressed my way into consciousness, into the hot itch of grief, the awful dead weight of joy, and finally, the wide-lit silence called adulthood. I cried at every one of my birthday parties because there was too much music, color, and happiness to say it had to do with me. And so, I guess last summer I came across this poem. It's an Emily Dickinson poem. And every once in a while, you sort of stumble upon a poem that you just really can't get out of your head. So I'm going to read this one. It's poem number 451 from her collected, The Outer from the Inner. The outer from the inner derives its magnitude. 'Tis duke or dwarf according, as is the central mood. The fine, unvarying axis that regulates the wheel, those spokes spin more conspicuous and fling a dust the while. The inner paints the outer, the brush without the hand. Its picture publishes precise, as is the inner brand. On fine arterial canvas, a cheek, perchance a brow, the star's whole secret in the lake, eyes were not meant to know. And then these last 2 poems are my own. The first one's called Late Afternoon, Waking Up. When the disoriented eyes, as if with their own volition, scan for some remembrance of horizon, cognate, the wind through the trees and new leaves, the low sun making colors flame outward, each smallest patch for a split moment, expanding into its own complete world, shifting snowblind of colors, turning inward, collage and decollage, unrelated, then collective adumbration, reality overlaid with memory, overlaid with another reality. When clarity is instinctively sought after, The eyes seem pulled directly toward the sun, and for a few seconds only perceive the corona's white sheen, too clean ember touched with tongue, a texture of isolated pure effect, before the eyes must look away again, themselves mere particulates, also continually shifting, forms grasping for other forms. The sun is some first memory, imperceivable structure of the act of remembering. And this last one is called Faraway Finches. And again, this is really fun, and thanks to Tyler. Faraway Finches. The world seen through a leaf reveals the faraway finches, the state of cardinal red turning green, the land in mid-swarm of fruit, sun-made, the sun is but part of us, the stars know who they are, night rain that empties the brain. Sundown is the saddest hat, and night descends as crows do, roping through air, black sky dilating beyond the orb rim, or the pits of caves yanked inside out. Everything waits like trees for their individual fires to ignite as if we are all only stages of ash. Thank you.
That's exactly what I was hoping. That's my vision. My vision. I make it sound. And this vision, when I dreamed this up hungover when I was 22, was that. So that was exactly what I wanted. Anyways, someone told me recently that I'm really bad at that between chatter, and I'm showing it right now. Anyways, that was great. Thanks a lot, guys. And so to start our second and final flight, we have W. Joe Hoppy, who runs an awesome reading series here called W. Joe's Poetry Corner. When's the next? Do you have a next one?
We've set a date, but I've forgotten what it is. Maybe the 22nd.
Maybe the 22nd. Come back on the 22nd. We'll see. So, W. Joe.
Okay, so I'm going to read newish stuff tonight. This is called Another Trip to the Museum, Blériot et Terrasson. And I guess briefly, Blériot was an early aviator, and he was the first guy to really make monoplanes, so one wing. And they were gorgeous, delicate, beautiful works of art. Then somewhere short of Dover's white cliffs, if the mainmast had broken, strength sacrificed for weight and the strain of each guy wire taking turns to cleave along wood's grain, tense wires braiding themselves together and unsupported wings folding like a falcon in mid-dive or an origami crane. You've seen kites do this, but probably never an aeroplane. So no string to shore up, or fine finger twitch of pterodactyl spread skin to catch a stray thermal to save itself from the cold gray waves. It's Icarus on an overcast, oddly chill July day as the tracking ships gaze on, helpless, while wood, wire, and silk crumple to the channel's bed, and under the pressure of seawater and mud, and millions of years later, ends up as something like the pterosaur on the third floor, embedded in sediment, solid mineral still somehow conveying its lightness. The way those long phalanges fingered the air like an encompassing keyboard, relentless glissandos, pure muscle memory playing its airs. The bones alone tell us we don't need the accompanying illustrations to understand that this was a creature of the skies. Our mind's eyes smooth it out and back into 3 dimensions, obvious beyond archaeology. And how can we help but turn from the wall to the glassed-in ceiling with the desire to fill the space above us, to feel no floor beneath us, when our gaze fixes on the enormous eye bolts embedded in steel beams and follows down the cables to Monsieur Blériot's monoplane that did not crash into the sea, but crossed the channel safely that July over 100 years ago. The sun through glass illuminates dust upon gossamer wings. Even so, how can we believe this machine has ever touched the ground? So I'm pretty sure there's some Robert Creeley stuff here. I picked one of my all-time favorites called I Know a Man. Robert Creeley had one eye, and he was a contemporary of the Beats, but was not truly within the Beats group. So this is a great, great poem I love for its language and its fractured syntax, and above all, the answer that it does give us to that philosophical question about the darkness surrounds us. What can we do about it? It's called I Know a Man by Robert Creeley. As I said to my friend, because I am always talking, John, I said, which was not his name, the darkness surrounds us. What can we do against it, or else shall we, and why not buy a goddamn big car? Drive, he said, for Christ's sake, look out where you're going. So I'm working with my Spanish, and I wrote this poem in Spanish and then translated it back into English for those of you who don't speak Spanish, or who speak Spanish as well as I do, which is not too well, but I liked the play of the words. So in Espanol, primero, platos de plata. En la cocina de los cochinos, lavando los platos de plata, con hojas de plátano y las lágrimas de las mentirosas. Y cuando terminado, me siento en una cajita en el callejón donde brilla la luna brillante en mi delantal. So, in the not as beautiful English, in the kitchen of the filth pigs, I am washing the dishes made of silver with banana leaves and the tears of lying women. And when I am finished, I sit on a crate in the back alley where the moon shines bright on my apron. And then the poet I kind of chose through the auspices of David Thornberry is Tiff Holland, who's another Midwesterner, like some of you earlier ones. She recently won a Teaching Excellence Award at ACC, where we both teach. And the thing I like about this poem is I like a lot of machine poetry. And, not only can you buy a book by Robert Creeley here, I've got a book called Diamond Plate that you can buy here as well. Thank you. So I'm really into the love with the mechanical world. And so I love what she's done here with the interplay of the mechanical and the concept of fixing as one would do something mechanically. But the thing that she's seeking to fix is a human body or a human mind, which is more difficult to fix mechanically. So, and it's called Weather Vane. I'm going to fold myself up a tinfoil hat and walk out in the rain, try to short circuit this constant buzzing, redirect it with a Kaiser spike, a weather vane made out of chicken bone. I'm going to candle this ear, this end of tonight's broadcasting static, let the hot wax cool into perfect wicked cochlear images. And then I'm going to set them on fire, burn the sound down like a lightning-struck tree. A feeble black thread I'll give a good yank. I'm sterilizing needles for acupuncture, studying reflexology. I'm going to Rufa-pound myself quiet. All I want is to hear my heart beat, blood pooling into bruises, my own thoughts moving in a straight line. Placing pennies on closed eyelids draws all the sounds away from a body. Bottle trees evict any kind of haint. Dog bark overwrites exclamation point script, and there's always the garbage disposal, the dishwasher to grind, to ground, to wash away. The vacuum cleaner with its attachments designed specifically to exhume dirt and dander, dust and dead cell is worth a try. But first, the hat, flag of surrender folded, shiny side in, or maybe sculpted into a fancy restaurant leftover swan. I'm going to swim away on a sea of hum, static, hiss, ring, buzz. Use it against itself. Transmit to the universe on my private frequency when I take a bat to invisible internal pitches. And when the storm finally comes, just to target something tangible, hit softball-sized hail over the backyard fence in the rain. Tiff Holland.